Welcome to Turtle Talk. This is Morgan's story and the family's journey. I'm Craig, and
I'm Michelle. Welcome.
we're on our way to Hawaii.
We're on our way to Hawaii. Oh, yes. So when we left off, my family is separated on 3 different routes, all to Honolulu, arriving at 3 different times. Nowhere close to what we were supposed to be, right? So this is our first flight. I'm hoping that Tom is with me to help me with Morgan, and he's not, and this is a disaster,
Right.
right? Like, how am I going to do this? So her friend and I were able to get Morgan on the first plane. Everything went pretty good. And then we get to Chicago and we wait and we wait and we wait, because when you're in a wheelchair world, you have to be the first people on the plane and you are the last people off the plane.
Yep.
You also have to have aisle chairs that some attendants bring to you. So you transfer out of your wheelchair into this aisle chair, which is a tiny little chair with no support. It's just a little L-shaped thing, and they lob you on there, and then they wheel you onto the plane. So if any airlines are listening, like, fix that so they can just wheel in their wheelchair and park, okay? Please. Anyhow, so we get her onto the plane. I have to run back out of the plane, pack up her wheelchair and tear it down, because what we also found out beforehand was don't send anything loose on the wheelchair, like the seat cushion, the backrest, the headrest. Take all the stuff that could come loose, take it off, and put it in the plane. So I have to go out and dismantle her wheelchair, strap it up, send it off, and bring all the other stuff into the plane, right? Now, at this point in Morgan's recovery, her legs are kind of stiff and more straight, and they don't bend super easily. So it's challenging to get her into the seats and get her comfortable and hold on to her. So we make the first flight. We get to Chicago. We're waiting for these people to come with the aisle chair to get us off the plane. And we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. And the attendants are calling because none of the flight crew can leave the plane till we leave.
Right.
So we've got the attendants and the pilots all waiting, and 20 minutes have gone by and still no aisle chair. Finally, they come with the aisle chair at about 28 minutes. We get Morgan off the plane, we get her into her wheelchair, and off we go. And this pilot, he walked with us to customer service and told them, this cannot happen again. Like, get this stuff straight for these people. This should never happen on our flights. And then he bought us lunch. It was so sweet. This pilot bought us lunch and stuff. And so then we go to the next gate to go from Chicago to LAX. And we finally find the boys. And the boys land like 20 minutes before our plane takes off. And thank God they were runners, because they had to run through the entire airport just to get over to our spot. Well, now, once again, supposed to be an aisle chair there. We're trying to get on our flight to LAX, and no aisle chair. And we're waiting and we're waiting. And finally, they let everybody else on the plane, and then we have to get on. So then, like, this is not a pretty process.
Right.
It's pretty degrading, actually. And I cry every time, because it's so degrading to the people in the wheelchairs. And then to have to do this in front of a whole plane of bitching people about, why are we delayed and why is this taking so long? Can they hurry up? It was horrible, right?
Frustrating.
And so we finally get on the plane, we take off, we get to LAX, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait for an aisle chair. And finally they come, and here the aisle chair people were insistent that they are the ones to hold her, because I would transfer her and then I'd help them strap her in, and I'd usually stay at her feet and just go with her, but they won't let me do this here, right? So we get to LAX, and they're insisting that they have to do it, and they don't know anything about transfers. So I get in an argument with him, and I'm like, no, I'm going to transfer her and stuff. Well, it's just a total shit show. Like, really, it's a total shit show. And we get out into the skywalk there, and we're going to transfer her into her wheelchair. And I tell them, you need to hold on to her. You got to support her head, everything else. And they let go of her, and she falls on the floor. She has no control. She can't stop herself from falling, nothing. She falls over onto the floor. And I mean, it was ridiculous. And I'm screaming at him, and Brendan comes running over, and he's like, get the hell away from my sister, shoves the guy out of the way. The boys scoop her up, and stuff. And I tell you what, I'm just in tears at this point. I am just in tears. And actually, no, that was getting on. No, I don't know. Everything was kind of a weirdness there. The boys ultimately ended up carrying her onto the next plane because, once again, no aisle chair. We're not letting anybody touch her at this point. So the
Right.
boys just, one scooped her arms, one scooped her legs, and they carried her on the plane. And I thought, can this shit get any more humiliating
Right.
with airlines, right? Now, mind you, Morgan has to be changed, right? So we go find an airport bathrooms to change her, and there's no, they have baby changing tables, but there's nothing. So we're laying down Chucks on the floor and my coat, and we have to scoop her out of her chair and lay her on the floor to change her, and then to get her back up in her chair. And so, I mean, it was so humiliating. I tell you what, it was disgusting.
Side note, this hasn't changed. Fairly recently, you ran into crap like this still. Like,
We have run into it at certain airports. It is getting better
okay.
because a lot of airports are now putting in adult changing stations.
Yeah.
But they're like not very close to where you need to be. Like, you'll have to sometimes go way down into a different terminal or
Sure.
something to find them. They are getting better, but let me tell you, I joined a group that had a lot of voices about this, and we've been raising a lot of chaos about why don't you have this? It's not that hard,
Right.
so it is coming, and we're thankful for that. But so now we've got these shitty airports, these people who have no transfer training, who are trying to help these, people like Morgan get on planes. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. If you're going to mandate that they do the transfers, then they better be transfer trained.
Right.
And they weren't. So here we are. We're in LAX. We're getting on the plane to Honolulu. This one lady is being really snarky at the gate. One of the ticket agents is being really snarky, and I'm just like, just don't even talk to me. Like, just scan our damn tickets and let us on the plane. And so we get on the plane, and I'm in tears at this point. Like, I am just sitting there crying. And this gate agent comes down, and she goes, what exactly is the problem here? And I'm crying, and I am just like, lady, you need to step off. Thank God for Morgan's friend, who is always calm, and she's like trying to smooth it over. And she's like, well, all these things are going on, but I suggest you just keep moving and get away from mom right now. Mom doesn't need this and stuff. Well, and then there was a flight attendant who was really, you guys need to hurry up and get in your seats. And it's like, my kid's been dropped.
Yeah.
It's a shit show getting on planes, getting off planes. This is a nightmare. I like, lady, you need to just go away and just not talk to me right now. And I think she knew that I was going to explode. And Morgan's friend got rid of the gate agent and stuff. You know, I mean, we're going as fast as we can, but this is not a fast process,
Right.
right? And we're just trying to get to Hawaii. We're
Right.
not even there yet, right? And I'm just in tears. And we finally get everybody situated. The boys are on, we're on, and I'm sitting there, and this other flight attendant comes over and she says, she goes, "What do you like to drink?" And I said, "Jack." And she whips out, and she's got a bottle of Jack sticking out between each fingers, 4 of them. She hands them to me and she says, "What kind of soda?" And I said, "Diet." And she hands that to me and she says, "Let me know when you run out." God bless her.
Yeah.
Like, God bless her, seriously.
Yeah.
And this flight wasn't super full, so everybody could kind of spread out. And we were right behind the bulkhead, so we were able to lay Morgan down on the plane. And I just laid on the floor in front of her, you know, and we get to Hawaii. 6 hours later, we're in Hawaii. I was a little hammered at the point, but you know what? It was okay.
You made it.
It was such a disaster. And I'm trying to call Tom in between, and he's mad because he's stuck in Denver with the triplets and he can't help me. And this is just, it was a total shit show. Like, United is not high on my priority list for flying ever. So I just like, oh, sweet Jesus. We get there and our shuttle, it's after midnight, so no shuttle. Now, let's add a little insult to injury. We brought Morgan's service dog with.
Okay.
Okay, so we have the dog in the mix on all of this too, right?
Yeah. Newman's with you.
Newman's with us. Except we get to Hawaii and find out that, guess what? There's a whole bunch of paperwork you need to do to bring a dog into Hawaii, which nobody told us about. So our dog, Morgan's service dog, quarantined. The whole 7 days we're there.
Yeah.
Poor Newman's in quarantine for 7 days. Oh, I was livid. Then to top it off, I had to go with the dog to the quarantine place. It's after midnight. I get over there. It's like $400 and some for the dog. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
like, what else can go on? The little shuttle guy leaves me. So I have to walk from wherever. It was about a mile from the quarantine area back to the terminal. I had to walk because there's nobody.
Right.
I get back. Brendan and his friend had found all the luggage for everybody. So we've got like 10 suitcases. No shuttle.
The triplet stuff too.
Tom's, the triplets, everybody's
stuff.
It's after midnight. Our shuttle won't come because it's after midnight. So now I have to get 2 cabs to get us there. The boys hopped in one. We hopped with Morgan in the other. I mean, it was such a cluster. Then we get to the hotel, and the hotel's in Tom's name. So they were like, "We can't check you in without him." And I'm like, gonna lose my shit again. Finally, after we're telling the guy the story, he's like, "Here, we're just getting you in. Tom, come see us when he lands tomorrow," you know? So thank God for that. And then the rest of the vacation went pretty good. But I'm calling like our travel agent all through this whole fiasco. I mean, it really was a nightmare. Like, this was our first experience with flying with someone who's disabled. And thank God we're resilient, because most people would have gave up and went home halfway through this process. I mean, it really was horrible. Yeah. It was so horrible. Like I said, we did fly later in the year to Salt Lake City, and that went much better. But it was Tom and I, and we work really well as a team. Like, now that we figured it out on this first flight. And
how did the trip home go?
The trip home went better because everybody was together.
Okay.
And so multiple hands made very light the work.
Yeah.
Right? And that was
But it's a bigger airport, so I'm sure TSA was better.
And TSA was actually great. We were in and out like boom, in and out, boom. So, yeah, I mean, it was, traveling is really challenging.
I bet.
You know, even now it's still challenging, but we've kind of figured out what airlines are great and what ones you avoid at all costs. Um, which we'll talk about a lot of those as we're making this journey of different flights and things like that, So we come home, the addition is just about done. I think we finally had the flooring. We had a guy come and epoxy the floor. Remember I said it snowed, right?
Right. Yep.
So the floor was flaking, so we had to grind the whole floor down and he did the epoxy and stuff. So that was all cured and stuff by the time we get home from our trip, and nothing was fast in any of this, you know. And we come back and it's still, no, we still have the therapy stuff and Tom's trying to finish the electrical, and some kid from Brookings was working with a friend of ours, and he likes to just do charitable things for people, and our friend told him about us, and here he's was in electrical school and now working for an electrical company. And so he came up and donated many, many nights at our house helping do the electrical so it would go a little quicker. So now we spend, July, we're finally moving Morgan in. We're starting to get some equipment. Now, I'm fighting with the insurance company now over ceiling lifts. God blessed. I'm fighting over ceiling lifts. Do we really need it? We're learning that, the minivan was not enough. So we decide, okay, we need to trade the Jeep in and get a big van. So we're kind of flying blind. There is no roadmap for any of
Right.
this. So I trade in my Jeep and we buy this Mercedes Sprinter 15 passenger van, not knowing how dang difficult it's going to be to get insurance to cover the lift for the van and how long that process takes. Yeah. So we get creative, and, now after graduation and our vacation, Brendan takes off to the military.
Yep.
So when he gets done with basic, we need to go down for his graduation. So we have this new van. We still don't have a lift in it. And so how do we do this? So we take out, I don't know, a row or two of seats. And my husband had mounted a recliner in the van that we could put Morgan in so she would be comfortable, right? He mounts that in there and he gets, seat belts put in and stuff for her so she's safe. And that way we can put the wheelchair in the back end of the van and stuff and still get there comfortably. But we'd have to lift her up into the van, and it's a 2-person job to get her up. And oh yeah, it's tough. So I'm fighting with insurance for the ceiling lift. I'm fighting with the insurance over the lift on the van. And let me tell you, I got really good at their policy manual.
Yep.
Really, really good at it. So during all of this stuff, we're finishing the addition, we're moving Morgan into it, we're trying to get this equipment. I get a case manager for Morgan, and we think things are okay.
Think.
I always think things are okay, but they're never always okay, right? So we're still at this one place for therapy. I fired the PT, but we're getting a new one. And things are kind of trucking along. But her physical med and rehab doctor there was just kind of, I don't more about adding more medications on. And I don't know. I just always had this tingly thing about something's not right, you know? So, we make the trip to Salt Lake and we come back and we decide, okay, we need to change things up here. Like, we have to get her feet fixed because even the place that we're doing therapy at is trying to get her to walk, but she's walking on
Yeah.
princess toe, ballerina toes. And that's not,
Yeah.
I look back and think how painful that must have been for her, but we didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
I still kick myself that I should have known, but I didn't. So we come back, and while they're looking to connect us with the doctor out there, I have her primary care write some referrals to Mayo. And let me tell you, that was the best decision we have ever made.
Okay.
So we tried, they wrote referrals for neurological and wrote referrals for her feet and wrote referrals for her hands and stuff. Well, the feet one was what got us in the door at Mayo. And we met this doctor, and I love this guy. He is so amazing. And I met with him, and my parents had gone with, and I said, he goes, well, what's your goals for Morgan? I said, I want her to be able to walk again. And I said, looking at her feet, she can't walk. She'll never walk with her feet like that. And he looked at me like I was kind of crazy, but he said, well, we can do this, but it's a very long process. And he said, you have to be committed to this. And I said, listen, I just want to give her every fighting chance she can have, So hence starts the external fixators on Morgan's feet.
Okay.
So at this point now, we have to stop pretty much all therapy except hand therapy. But even that was limited. So now we start the whirlwind with Mayo of, we go there under the feet, but he's like, while you're here, we need to get you a physical med and rehab doctor. Let's try and get her into some speech therapy. Let's get her into some occupational therapy because she needs a team. Imagine that.
Wow. Something
Yeah.
you've said since the beginning.
Imagine that. A team. Morgan needs a team. So we start with the fixator process, and he introduced us to another doctor who deals with like her spasticity and things like that. And so there were multiple surgeries ahead for Morgan. Like, this was going to be a tough 2 years basically with this. And so what they did is they went into the feet and the calves, and the one doctor, they piggybacked each other, and they did a selective neurectomy on her legs, the one leg at the time. And what they do is they go in and isolate the one nerve that's like this, and they snip it. Like, basically that's like the crayon version of it, which then allows more movement. So we have that done. And then the other doctor goes in and does the external fixator. So what they do is they put this cage all the way around Morgan's foot. So think of a halo.
Mm-hmm.
Same concept, only over her foot and her up to her shin. Okay. And it's got bolts screwed into her bones, in rods into her toes, wires through her feet from the sides. Yes. And we'll put pictures on the page soon. And so what happens is he went in and did that, and her ankle, there was something like her ankle was locked. So I don't know if he had to like break it or chisel it apart or whatever so it can move. So then
It had sat so straight.
It had sat so straight for so long that it had locked in. And so now starts the 9-month process. And I remember her having surgery, and this was in 2019. We started with foot one, and he said it would be at least 9 months. And oh Lord, it was weekly trips to Mayo, because you can't, like, if you commit to this, you're committed to this. So every week I had to go. She'd get x-rays, he'd put it into the system, and it would come up with this program, and there were 6 struts on there. And so you'd crank this one, and this one would be 2, and this one would be 1. And it slowly brought the foot from being down to up, and then in line, and over 9 months. So every day we had to adjust these struts. I had to clean every single pin site.
Yeah.
Because we don't want an infection.
Right.
If we get an infection, this is bad, right? And so we get 1 foot done, and guess what? It's at a 90-degree angle. The ankles move, the toes are wiggling, like things we had not seen now in 2 years.
Toes are wiggling. Yeah.
But the whole time, like, I remember she came out of surgery. Now let me back up here just a minute. This is a sign of a really great hospital. Morgan had to have surgery. The doctor, the staff, everyone at Mayo, everyone was phenomenal. They let either Dad or I put on scrubs, go back into the surgical suite with her until she was under, and then we'd come out.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's waking up, they would bring us back, so we were there with her as she's waking up, so she would not be afraid.
That's awesome.
Is an amazing hospital. That is patient care first, right? I worship Mayo Clinic. Like, I really do. These guys are phenomenal. And she come out of surgery, and here's this big metal cage on her foot. I mean, we knew what was coming, but it wasn't real until you see it. And I just stared at it, and I cried, and I was afraid to touch her. And how do you do this? Like, holy hell, this is crazy. And I tell you what, we spent like 3 or 4 days in the hospital, just keeping her pain under control and stuff. And he's just grabbing the cage and lifting her. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, no, really, it's okay. It's okay.
Wouldn't that hurt?
That's
like the
what I
screws
was
in the
thinking.
bone?
Wouldn't that hurt? But it is in there so tight.
Yeah.
So
you could only do 1 foot at a time.
Yeah. Yeah, we only did it because it's very traumatic. Like, she would spike fevers and stuff because, I mean, this is pretty invasive stuff. But I tell you what, this girl was a trooper. Like, she so was. Well, then I'm like, oh my gosh, if that foot gets cold, and oh, Lord. So I'm figuring out how to sew these big booties that go up over her foot. And we can tie them to keep her feet warm, because you can't put socks on.
Right.
I mean, it was just, yeah. So, foot 1.
Okay.
Well, then, over the next couple of years, we're doing neurectomies on the arms, some tendon transfers, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, it was 9 months with the first foot. We get done with the first foot. We decide to take a little break before we jump right into the second foot, and yeah. But this is the path that we have to take to get her walking.
Yeah.
Because if you can't stand on your feet, you're not going to walk.
Right.
Right? So it goes back to the very first ICU and the step down, and why the hell didn't they put hard splints on her feet to prevent the foot drop from even happening. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. We love hearing from you guys, so keep the comments and the questions coming for us.
Yes. Love the questions. Please subscribe. Go to www.givemorgan.org or visit me at my real estate website, realtorcraigbertrand.com. And we always want your questions, comments, like, and share wherever you listen or watch.
Thank you.
Thank you.